What is the answer?
Sir B, it's labeled II.
All right. 2. Another volunteer.
In 1492, which of the following group of people were the inhabitants of the area marked I?
What's the answer for that?
Was A. Mayas.
All right, thank you very much. Continue, give me 3 also.
Which of the following statements best explains why Amerindians migrated to the Americas from their original homelands?
Mm-hmm.
The answer was C. They were following herds of deer which they hunted.
All right, good. 4. Just give me 5, please. 4 and 5.
Which of the following statements is true of both Jamaica and Cuba at the time of Columbus's arrival in the Caribbean? A.
Mm-hmm.
They were inhabited by the Taínos. And
All right.
5. The Mitayanos were very important to the Taino chief, mainly because they were his sea advisors.
Thank you very much. Another volunteer for me, please. 6 to 10.
Sir, I'll read.
Go ahead for me.
The house of the Taino's chief was called Bahio A.
Mm-hmm.
The Caribe was a meeting house for Kalinago warriors.
All right.
Which of the following best describes the way in which the Kalinagos or Caribs lived? B. Males separate from females. Which of the following best explains why many Kalinago women spoke the language of the Tainos? C. Captured Taino women lived among the Kalinago. And turn, which of the following was not used by Kalinagos? C. Salt.
Yes, yes, salt is correct. It was not used. So they used cassava, maize, and the pepper pot. All right, another volunteer, 11 to 15.
Which of the following statements is true of the Mayan leader or Halak Unik? The answer is B. He was a political leader and also had military and religious role.
All right, 12.
Which of the following features characterized Mayan technology? The answer is C, which is and IV, which is irrigation schemes, paved roads, and stone buildings.
All right. 13.
The Mayans engaged in war mainly to A, defend their lands.
Yes, because remember that you had a lot of city-states around. And so city-states fought against city-states. Go ahead for me, 40.
When the Europeans first came to the New World, they found the Maya living in B, Belize.
That's correct. And do you realize that 14 and number 1 is asking the same question, correct?
Yes, sir. It's relating to the Mayas.
Yes. And also the location, because where you have I on the map, one on the map in Roman numeral, that area is Belize. 15. 15 from the ground.
Christopher Columbus sailed west mainly to B, find a passage to the east.
Yes, correct. Thank you very much, Brown. 16 to 20. Another volunteer?
The Taínos were similar to the Mayans in all of the following ways except C. Women shared separate living quarters among both tribes. Number 17, the Maya were more skillful than the Kalinagos and Taínos in D, constructing stone buildings. Number 18, which is the correct order of the 15th century European social groups from most to least powerful? D, kings, priests, merchants, peasants. Number 19, wait, sir, should I read out that first part?
For 19, yes, it is important.
The authorities began the practice of allowing the Spaniards to collect tribute from the Indians. In return, the Spaniards had to see that the Indians were protected and converted to Christianity. Number 19, the practice referred to in the statement was known as the encomienda. 20. Which of the following relates to the theoretical plan of the encomienda system in the Spanish territories? A. American labor given in exchange for Spanish.
Thank you very much, Morrison. 21 to 25. May I have a volunteer, please? And before we go on to that, ladies, it is important to know what is the asiento, because some students selected the asiento. What was the asiento? What was the asiento? All right, check your notes.
There was a contract
Contract between whom?
between the Spanish crown and like the merchants. I don't know.
Okay. Anybody else? What was the asiento?
Sorry, it was relating to the conduct of trade.
Yes, but what about the conduct of trade? Yes, it is relating to the trade, but trade in what?
Slaves or
Yes, the slave, the trade in slave, but what else about it? There's an important point about the asiento. What is that important point about the asiento? It was a license to trade enslaved Africans. So the Spanish gave a license to trade enslaved Africans. Who were the audiencias? Who were the audiencias? Next volunteer for me, please. 21 to 25. Volunteer 21 to 25.
Sir, I'll read it.
Thank you very much, William.
Which activity was not a feature of the indigenous mainland American societies? A. Worship of one God. By which century had the Spanish contact with the Americas occurred? A. 15th. Which of the following was a law relating to the Indians in the Caribbean? D. The Vistadores. For 24, the body of water separating the continents North America and Asia is the Pacific Ocean.
Go ahead for me for 23.
For 23,
Mm-hmm.
which of the following was a law relating to the Indians in the Caribbean? D, the Vistadors.
No, the answer is B.
It's B.
Yeah.
Sir, I have, oh, okay, yes, sir.
Sir,
B as
for
in boy.
21, she said A. It's supposed to be
Secret
C, I
Conquest.
think.
For 21, it's supposed to be C.
C.
21 is C, and 23 is B. 22 is A, the 15th century.
I read it wrong. 24, the body of water separating the continents, North America and Asia, is A, the Pacific Ocean. And 25, the following were developments which took place during the Renaissance. B, I, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Read them out for me, please.
Printing and mathematics, art and literature and science, astronomy and legends.
All right, good. Someone volunteer for me 26 to 30.
The following was not a motivating factor influencing European exploration in the 15th century. B, a desire to restart Muslim power. Number 27, which of the following best describes the intention of the Treaty of Tordesillas? B, to allow Spain and Portugal to share claims to the New World. Number 28, who was the representative of the king in the Spanish American Empire? C, the viceroy.
1 second, 1 second. For 25, what you said for 25?
Sir, D.
D as in dog. So it is correct. Go ahead for me, please, Brown.
Number 29, which of the following territories have never been colonized by Spain? C, St. Kitts and Antigua. Number 30, the court of the Catholic Church was known as A, Inquisition.
Next, 31 to 35.
All of the following European nations were primarily interested in the settlement in the New World except the C Dutch.
All right.
All of the following were direct results of the Spanish settlements in the Caribbean. All of the following were direct results of the Spanish settlement in the Caribbean except A, colonization of the Lesser Antilles. Which of the following was not used to govern and control the Spanish Empire from the 16th century? D, the letters of marque. 34, which of the following reasons were navigation acts passed? B, 3 and 4, to increase the profits of trade for the English, to increase English shipping and shipbuilding. 35, which measure was not used by Spain to protect her empire from other European powers? A, the encomienda system.
Thank you very much, Sawyers. 36 to 40. A volunteer, please.
The main aim of the British and French is establishing colonies in the West Indies in the 17th century was A, produce tropical crops for the mother country.
All right.
Of the following formed the major export crop from the Caribbean by the early 17th century? B, tobacco, spices, indigo, and cotton. 38. The main reason why the English attempted to break the Spanish monopoly in the New World was to B, obtain a share of the wealth of the New World. 39. Which of the following groups of islands was effectively settled by the French in the earlier half of the 17th century? A. St. Kitts, Martinique, and Guadeloupe. 40. This was not a reason for the introduction of sugar into the Caribbean. C. Sugar was not too bulky to be transported.
All right, 41 to 45. Volunteer, please.
As a social change which accompanied the sugar revolution was D, increasing wealth for sugar planters.
Good.
42, which of the following occurred as a result of the change from tobacco to sugarcane cultivation in the 17th century? C, there was an increase in the size of land holdings. Number 43, which of the following was an economic feature of the sugar revolution? B, the price of land increased. Number 44, which of the following was the main reason for the dramatic increase in the African population in the British Caribbean after 1640? B, greater numbers of sugar plantations. Number 45, on which island did the sugar revolution begin? A, Barbados.
Thank you very much, Brown. Now, ladies, these questions are some questions that you would have received in class. Overall, students would have done well on the paper one. Most students did well on the paper one. I think the students that received the highest overall in this class, I believe it is Sawyers. Is Sawyers? Sawyers. I think Sawyers is the student. So Shania Sawyers.
Shania,
sir. Shania,
Yeah.
you received the highest overall in the class. You got 90. And so that is an encouragement. Your paper one was good and your paper two was excellent, as you can also see. So if you want to share your paper with your friends, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And then the other top student, the other two top student, because we only have three, is, what's her name? Davis. Is this Danielle Davis? And
Yes, sir.
so there's Danielle Davis and Brown. So the two, I think Davis comes second, third. Yes. So it is Sawyers, Brown, and Davis. These are the top three students in the class on the exam. So congratulations, ladies. Hoping that you will improve your overall performance in the exam coming in June. All right, so we're going to go to paper one. Sorry, the paper two. Paper two, quickly. Question one. Somebody read question one for me, please. Paper two, question one. 1A. You can just read the 1A. You don't have to read the interpretive piece.
Section A, theme 1, the indigenous people and the Europeans. Question 1, list 4 agricultural crops grown by the indigenous peoples to which the Europeans were introduced.
What were the crops that they were introduced to, the Europeans?
manioc, otherwise known as cassava, maize, otherwise known as corn, potato, also referred to as batata, and groundnuts. That's what I have, sir.
All right, good. Anybody else? What else? They were introduced to. Students put sugar on it. 1 second, Sawyer. Some students put sugar. It was the Europeans who brought sugar here from the Spanish island, Madeira. It was not, the indigenous people didn't have sugar cane, all right? So don't put sugar cane. I see yam on the answer sheet. It was the Africans who brought the yam, but because it is debatable, I still will give the mark for yam. But overall, I'm expecting you to, this is a very easy question. You could say corn, beans, sweet potato, cassava, tobacco. Why students didn't write tobacco? Next, B, 1B. Read 1B for me, Sawyer.
Explain 3 reasons why the Europeans in the New World became dependent on the food of the indigenous people.
Why would they be dependent on the food of the indigenous people? Why would you be? So this is it. Go ahead for me.
Sir, because of the war that the Spaniards had with the Black Moors, they had to find a different trade route. They had to find a different trade route to conduct trade, with the East Indies, and because of that, they found West Indies, and when they found out that they had other profitable crops that could be used from raw materials in Europe, they were dependent on that produce, what was being produced.
All right. I understand where you're coming from with that question, but the question was asked. I understand your interpretation. To be honest, I really understand. I didn't see it from that perspective. But the question was really, if you look at the interpretive piece at the top, the question was really asking when the Europeans arrived in the Americas, remember they came to the Americas based on buck-ups, right? They came here based on buck-ups, if that is what we want to say. Columbus and his men wanted to go east, and they ended up in the Caribbean or in the Americas. So once they reach in the Americas, right? Once they reach in the Americas, why were they, 1 second, please. All right, ladies. So the question was really asking you to look at the reasons once they arrived in the Americas, right? What will lead them to depend on what would lead them to depend on food? All right? What would lead them to depend on food? So you know, go to somewhere, what were some of the issues that Columbus had that they had to depend on food with from the Europeans? What were some of the issues? There were no food for them to eat, yes. Why they didn't have any food to eat? Think about it. Remember, they were lost at sea and they didn't have any food. So the ships were basically empty when it comes to food, right? Two, could they access food from Europe at the time?
No, sir.
They couldn't access food. So very good. So you have to look at also that they were not able to access food and their food that they used to eat. So they had to depend on them for food. What other reason? So the first one is that the ship basically run out of food, so they had to depend on it. Two, Europe was very far away, so they had to. Which other reason you'd put that they had to depend on them?
They're getting material.
The material? What about the material?
They're like to get shelter and stuff.
If you are depending on somebody for food, the group must have food, correct? Correct, ladies? So one is that you could discuss, you could peel that the ships ran out of food, and so they didn't have any food and water, so they had to depend on them. Two was that Europe was far away and they were basically lost at sea. And the third one is that the availability of food grown by the indigenous peoples. So the indigenous peoples had a lot of food and give examples of the food. So they were introduced to the foods. All right. C. Read C for me, please. C.
Examine 3 factors which illustrate how contact with the Europeans affected the population of the indigenous peoples.
Ladies, we would have gone through this. So if you're going to peel this, you could look at health, which is one. You could look at the social effects, how it affects them negatively, right? You could also look at how it affects them religiously by including looking at the encomienda system and that they were forced to look at their own, uh, they were forced to convert to Christianity under the system of encomienda, right? You could also look at it culturally that they were forced, European cultures were forced, and what type of European culture. You could look at under social also, you could look at that the most of them died and how they died. All right. Question two. Question two asks specifically, what did Columbus expect to gain from his voyages of exploration? When Columbus set forth from Spain, did Columbus expect at the time to reach the Americas?
No, sir.
Where he wanted to go?
Sir, East India. The East
Why
Indies.
wanted to go to East India?
Because there was profitable trade going on and they had a
Because
lot
of
of beneficial
trade.
products.
Mm-hmm. And they had the different products there. Yes. And also, he wanted to also spread his influence, his Christianity in the Indies, right? So that's one of the reasons why he would have gone out. If you develop those 3 points, the products that they wanted was spices and different things, then you are good. Now, what benefit did Spain gain from Columbus exploration? So once he set out from Europe, but his aim was to reach the Indies, but he ended up somewhere else. So even though he did not reach the Indies, he still gained a lot. In fact, he gained a lot of things. What were some of the things that Spain gained? Benefits. What was the first thing that they gained?
Sir, glory.
Glory, yes, but glory, what else?
So they gain the knowledge of the new world.
They gained the knowledge of the new world, yes. What else?
Land and some
They,
gold.
they gain land and they also gold, yes, and other special minerals. So what you could say, because remember this is 8 points, right? And so I would love if you discuss 3 points for this. You could talk about glory, that they would have found the new lands, and as a result of finding the new lands, they were able to, they became very powerful, and so a lot of different nations were envious of them, right? They gained glory, knowledge of the new world. They occupied very large areas in the new world. They got a lot of gold and wealth, and trade started to develop. Yes. And so these are some of the things you can discuss. But why did Columbus die a disappointed man? Why Columbus died a disappointed man? What was his first aim when he left Europe?
To reach India.
Did he reach India? Did he find the trade route to India?
No.
No,
He
sir.
ended up where?
In the
West
Americas.
Indies.
West Indies. So it was very, even though he found the Americas, he was still disappointed because he did not find the West Indies. The East Indies. So he died a disappointed man. The next question asks, explain why the Amerindians of the Caribbean ended up as the bigger losers. This question is the same question as 1C, which examine 3 factors that illustrate how the contact affected the indigenous people. And you develop the very same points as 1A you develop in 2D. Now, causes of the next question, give me 5 more minutes. Causes of the sugar revolution. I'm expecting you need to discuss for the causes. Oh, we went through this already. We went through the causes and we also looked at the consequences when we look at the previous question. All right, ladies, so that's it. So causes, consequences. The same thing it was asking you for D, the economic for 3. This is 4A asks 2 reasons for the changeover from tobacco to sugar. This is looking at causes. Give 1 reason for the changeover from logwood. That question should not have been on the paper. So students receive 3 marks for that question, right? Who did that question? And describe 2 economic outcomes of the changeover effects. And explain 3 social changes that resulted in the introduction of sugar, same thing, effects. What are some of the 3 social changes? Give me 3 social changes that took place.
Sir, the racial composition changed significantly from a predominantly white society to more blacks living in the society.
Very good. Another social effect.
The social hierarchy was changed so that the blacks were at like the bottom of the, what do you call it? The triangle, the social hierarchy.
Very good, yes. Another social effect. With Africans coming, what is going to happen? You're going to have new laws
Like
that talk about what?
interbreeding. Oh,
Hmm?
so I was going to say like interbreeding between the whites and the blacks and the
If you're going
blacks
to
and
talk
the,
about interbreeding, you put that under demography, which is population. The composition of the
okay.
population that changes, you put that in under that point.
Okay.
Any other point? So ladies, I'm going to ask you to go through the last section for me, please. So when we return on Monday, that is the first thing I'm going to ask you. So please peel each of them in your notebook. And then when I return on Monday, we can discuss them. All right, ladies, enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Sorry, the morning. Why may I say more afternoon? Anyway, morning.
Thank you, sir, and same to you. Bye, sir.
Bye-bye.